Committees are in place to help. They're there to support your choir, but let's be honest, sometimes they can make things harder. Emails that sort of go unanswered or think that someone else has answered them, disagreements about concerts, events or budgets, and decisions that perhaps never get made or get made late. And suddenly, rehearsals feel tense. Your plans stall and momentum slows. Today, we're tackling one of the most common frustrations in community choirs: how to go from committee chaos to calm, clear leadership. Welcome back to the Ambitious Choir. I'm Kev Jackson, and this episode is for musical directors, chairs and committee members who want their choir to run smoothly without sacrificing creativity, warmth or ownership. Because when leadership is clear, rehearsals run better, committees feel aligned and involved, and singers thrive. Part 1. Why governance matters. Let's start with a scenario many of you will recognise. A committee meeting lasts 90 minutes. Everybody's got opinions. Decisions are postponed until next time. The MD feels frustrated. The chair feels caught in the middle of all the crossfire. And weeks later, very little has changed. What's happening here is friction, not failure. Now, the people around the table are passionate. They want the choir to succeed. They actually volunteered for these roles. But without clarity about the roles and decisions, passion can become conflict. Ambitious choirs understand that structure frees creativity. And it's not about control. It's about clarity, about who decides what and how. Okay, so next let's look at the MD and chair dynamic. At the heart of the committee friction is often the MD and chair relationship. The MD wants artistic freedom. The chair wants governance, risk management, and alignment with the committee. Now, conflict arises when decisions are not clearly owned. Responsibilities overlap and communication is inconsistent. Now, here's the really simple fix. Define the leadership lanes. Decide explicitly who makes which decisions and when. For example, the MD, the musical director, decides repertoire and rehearsal planning. The chair oversees budgets, schedules, and the committee coordination. The committee advises, supports, and reviews the outcomes. This way, everybody knows their lane. Tensions drop and productivity rises, and the choir feels calm and organised, led, not stressed and reactive. So let's look at the 3-lane leadership model. So let's break it down into this simple framework that I call the 3-lane leadership model, which is split into artistic decisions, operational decisions, and strategic decisions. Firstly, artistic decisions. The repertoire, concert themes, performance standards should all be owned by the MD. The committee provide input and give ideas, but the final say rests with the artistic leader, who is the musical director. Next are the operational decisions. So this is the logistics, the venues, the timetables, the budgets, the marketing materials, the hall bookings, the social events, the tea making equipment and who makes the tea, deadlines, all the operational things. Now, the mechanics of the choir, this is owned by the committee. Now, the MD may advise on timing or feasibility. For example, the committee might say we can put a concert on in a month, and the MD may simply say it's not simply not possible. But they don't make the operational calls. They simply provide the information to the committee for them to make the decisions. And finally, the strategic decisions. This is all about the long-term direction of the choir and planning for growth. So that will include recruitment strategy, the financial sustainability, fundraising, concert regularity, future social events, the general sort of direction for the choir. Now, the strategy for the choir is owned collectively by the chair and the committee, informed by the MD for artistic matters, but ultimately owned by the committee. And any decisions are documented and reviewed regularly to see if they're going in the direction that they've set, if any changes need to be made, and all of that sort of thing. Now, why does this work? Because everybody knows who's deciding what. The committee set the general direction and provide the mechanics for the choir to run, which means that the MD can focus on music, the committee can focus on the governance and the operations of the choir. Rehearsals and concerts feel more organised, more consistent and confident because everybody is clear about their role. So part 4, you might be asking, so how do we apply this? So this is all about the simple steps that you can do. So here are some immediate actions. So map the decisions, write down who owns the artistic decisions, the operational decisions, and the strategic choices. Share openly. So make sure that the committee all know what their role is. Display it in the committee or leadership notes so that everybody knows which lane they sit in. And review regularly. Revisit this every 6 to 12 months and adjust as the choir grows or changes. And finally, document the outcomes. Decisions and responsibilities and deadlines reduce confusion because it's there in black and white. Everybody can see that a decision was made to run a concert on this date, or that a recruitment drive was going to happen in this month. Whatever the decision, document the outcomes of the discussions, so then everybody is very, very clear. Even really small adjustments here transform meetings and rehearsals and your choir momentum because everybody is pushing in the same direction. So next we're going to look at the leadership mindset behind those clear structures. Remember, clarity is not control. For example, if the MD wants support in concert scheduling, they can speak to the committee who can work with them to agree the artistic and operational requirements. Moving back to that example about with wanting a concert within a month, the artistic director, the musical director may say, we can do a concert, however, we can only do 10 songs. And the committee then have boundaries that they can work to and make a decision operationally around whether they want that concert to take place or not. Leaders who define roles and decisions aren't bossy. They basically create a framework for people to contribute confidently. Everybody knows their lane. Ambitious choirs don't waste energy on the friction and the nitpicking between members of the committee and the musical director. They use leadership to clarify, to free the creativity, build trust and strengthen the culture. Your committee members, if you apply these things, will notice that meetings are shorter and more productive. Rehearsals are calmer and progress happens consistently. So, in closing, the 3 key takeaways from this is that, number 1, committee friction isn't personal, it's structural and can be resolved. Number 2, if you define clear leadership lanes, artistic, operational, and strategic, then everybody knows where they stand. And number 3 takeaway is being ambitious isn't just about music. It's designing a system where people can work together and the choir can thrive. So if today's episode rang some bells with you, subscribe to the Ambitious Choir. Next episode, we're tackling something almost every choir struggles with: defining your choir's identity so that it stands out and attracts new and, more importantly, the right singers. So until then, lead clearly, communicate kindly, and don't be afraid to be ambitious.